first thing we want to do is we want to just be able to write a basic equation for a line that's in slope-intercept form. So that means of the form y equals mx plus b. So for each of these lines, all we need to determine is the slope and the y-intercept. Looking at the first one, what's the y-intercept? Yeah, so it's going to be a plus 3 after the x. And then before the x, we place the slope. What's my rise over my run? 3 over 4. Okay? As you're thinking about slope, I want you to kind of keep this graphic in your mind. This is what a lot of people find helpful. If you see slope going like this, it's positive. If you see slope going like that, it's negative. We classify slope as running from left to right. So if you're going up the hill, it's positive. If you're going down the hill, it's negative from running left to right. Anybody know what we call this slope here? This slope is what we call 0. Anybody know what we call the slope that's straight up and down?
Error.
Error, undefined. Undefined. So be cautious with our language. It's only math class. The next one, we have y is equal to, and I'm going to start with my slope. What's the slope? I heard a negative 3 over 2 said confidently, and that is correct. And I have plus 2 for the y-intercept. Why don't you try the next one on your own? Try the next one on your own. I have a y is 5/3 x minus 2. We all good with that? So the next one is different because it is a vertical line. And vertical lines are lines that have a slope that is undefined. So if you look here, you can see undefined is a vertical line. And those have equations of x equals some number. Whereas if it's a slope of 0, it's going to be y equals some number. So as we look at this one here, what is the x value always equal to in this scenario? X is always equal to what? 2. Yeah, if you look at the points, you can see that x is 2 each time. And then the next one is a horizontal line. Y is always equal to what value in that situation? Y is always 3. So those are your equations. So we have slope-intercept form, and then we have our horizontal and vertical lines. Are we okay with that? Yeah. All right, so that's just a little bit of review. The other thing we want to review before we write equations for lines is our point-slope form for lines. So you guys are used to y equals mx plus b. There's another way that you could write equations for lines, and that's point-slope form. And what it tells us is this number that sits in front, that's the slope. And then the x value is right there, okay? So that goes at that spot, and then the y value here goes at that spot. So as I look at this first line, I have y minus 4 equals 3x minus 2. All you want to be able to do is identify the slope and a point that it passes through. The slope is what? 3. That's in the same place as the m. Now the point, that's where people get a little bit confused. But the x is here, and then the y is over here. Anybody know what I write for the x? It would seem to be negative 2, but if you look at the formula, it says what number are you subtracting? And so therefore it is a positive 2 and a positive 4. So it's opposite what you think. It's the number that you're subtracting, not the number that you're adding. And so for the second one, I have a slope of negative 3/2, and then the point that it passes through, is the x value going to be positive 9 or negative 9? Negative 9. And what's the y value going to be? Positive 6. I would like you to try the ones that I'm starring right now on your own. Please identify the slope and the point. The slope and the point. That's all we want. They can glance up there and check, make sure they have it right. Everybody okay with those? Okay, then let's look at this one. Y minus 1 is equal to 5x. I have my slope and I have my point. Slope is nice and easy. What's that? 5. But the point, notice that there's an x value missing. So therefore my x value is going to be 0. What will the y value be? 1. Good. And for the next one, the slope is obviously 5 over 7. But when you consider the point, what is the x value? Negative 8. And since we're missing a y value, that will be 0. Excellent. So now you've seen a review of our point slope form and a basic writing equations for lines. Now we put it all together. And these are the directions that you will often see, which are write an equation for a line. This is a super important thing that you're going to have to be able to do for the test. I'll show you exactly what people are doing correctly and incorrectly and where you need to kind of keep your eye open. It says write an equation for a line. First, write the equation in point slope form. So that means y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. After we write it in point slope form, we're then going to place it into slope intercept form and graph it. Okay? So now we're going to go the opposite way. So instead of being given the point slope form and knowing what the slope of the point is, now I give you the slope of the point and you got to tell me what the equation is. Y what? Minus 4, because that's my y value, is equal to 5 times x minus 3. That's an equation for a line. Now all you need to do once you have that is place it into slope-intercept form. That's going to begin by distributing the 5, and I have y minus 4 is equal to 5x minus 15. To finish it off, I will add 4 to both sides, and I get y is equal to 5x minus 11. That's my equation in point slope or in slope-intercept form. Not too bad? Okay, flip it over. You're going to try one on your own before we get to the one that's a little bit more difficult. I want you to do the same thing. Again, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Please go ahead and see if you can put it into that form and then into slope-intercept form. Take about 2 minutes, check with the person next to you, and then we'll move on to our other two problems. Four negatives would make a three negatives would make a plug in 0. So you got a positive, negative, positive, returns as a negative. Yep, and then here you plug in 3, that last one's going to be positive. So are you wondering what's greater than?
No, I think I'm just, we're wondering what is bigger than, but I think I plug in the third
That changes. Yep. So brackets, but you can't put brackets with 2.
This is the
The other one's a bracket. Good, you got it. Let me do this and I'll come over. You should have y minus, or excuse me, y minus 2 is equal to 1/2 times x plus 6. And then you have y minus 2 is equal to 1/2 x plus 3. When you add the 2, y is 1/2 x plus 5. Now, the neat thing is people ask, how could you check your answer? If I graph 1/2 x plus 5, I have a slope of 1/2. You can check this out and say, well, does it go through the points that it talks about? It says, does it go through the point -6, 2? Well, I go back 6 and up 2. Sure enough, it goes through that spot. That tells me I probably did the problem correctly. Okay? All right. So this is the big thing that we want to do, and this is where I don't want to see anybody write this on their test. Okay? I don't want that at all. This is going to involve a couple steps, but it's not impossible for us to figure out. This is to write an equation for a line. How is it different than the ones we just did?
You're not given the slope.
You're not given the slope. So here's the deal. You're given 2 points. You get to choose the point that you want. Elena, which point would you like? 3, 4, or 5, 10? She chooses 3, 4. Okay, so we've got 3, 4. If you chose 5, 10, you're going to get the same answer. It's just fine. But the key is that you're not given the slope. So you're going to have to figure out the slope. Does anybody know how we figure out slope if we're given 2 points? Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Does that look familiar to people? Yeah, that's slope formula. Remember that I have x1, y1, and I have x2, y2. So what is my numerator going to look like up top? 10 minus my 4 divided by 5 minus 3. And so you get 6 over 2. Therefore, my slope is 3. So I use that information to determine my slope. Now I can write my equation in point slope form. Y minus what? 4 is equal to 3 times x minus 3. If we distribute, we have y minus 4 equals 3x minus 9. If we add that 4, y is 3x minus 5. Not too bad? Okay, last one then. Same thing, we have 2 points. Every time it says write an equation for a line, you could say what is the slope and what is the point. Spencer, do you want -4, 3, or do you want -6, 4? It's up to you.
-6, 4.
Okay, so he wants -6, 4. I don't have the slope. Just got to figure out the slope. Y sub 2 is 4. What is y sub 1? 3. What is x sub 2? -6 minus -4. Notice if you have 2 negatives next to each other like that, you could just add the opposite. And in the top, we get a +1. In the bottom, we have -6 plus 4 is -2. I always like to write the negative on top. So -1/2 is my slope. It's okay to get a fraction. I know sometimes we don't like fractions. We find them frustrating. We would prefer integers. I do understand that.
I only don't like them when they're the answer.
Okay, all right, okay. So y minus 4 is equal to what? -1/2 times
X plus 6.
plus 6. As we distribute, y minus 4 is equal to -1/2 x. And it looks like it's a -3. When we add the 4, y is equal to -1/2 x plus 1. I promise you are going to need to write an equation for a line given 2 points. What we've covered right now in linear algebra And our topics is what you covered in previous classes. You maybe spent 3 months on it, okay? So I know that we've just spent like 4 or 5 days. Hopefully a lot of it's review for you and a good reminder, but that's a skill we need to know. Tomorrow we talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. This is going to be essential, okay? And then on Thursday we'll probably do a review activity together, no lesson. I do have the answers posted up here for this worksheet and the others. You guys have about 15 minutes to be able to get some work done, okay? So I'm gonna let you be. I'm gonna stop my recording.